regularly I get asked how I get everything done. And the short and simple answer to that is that I don't. As a mom of 6 kids with a homestead and a garden and all kinds of things that need to be done around here, there's just simply no way that I can get to it all. Now, I do have some tips and tricks that I have learned along the way with trying to manage my household and all of the kids and the chores going on. And so today I'm going to offer you some of those tips and the things that I've learned along the way that are making my life a little bit more easy. My first baby, I was pretty determined that his schedule was not going to determine mine and rule my life. And boy, was I ever wrong. It didn't take very long at all for me to discover that by me having a schedule and a routine, that it actually offered me more freedom, because during those downtimes and those scheduled times, I could actually do the things that I was passionate about or that I needed to work on and get done. Now, I'm not one of those people that thrives on a structured schedule. I need to be inspired, and I love the freedom to just go with the flow. But don't get me wrong, I also am very task oriented. I love crossing things off of my list that needed to be done and feeling like I was accomplished for the day. But I like to do it on my own terms and when I feel inspired to do them. So you would think that homeschooling would lend itself to just that, just kind of being free to go with the flow. And I will say, to a little bit of an extent, I do have that ability. But over the years, all of my inspirations and the things that have kind of led me to where I am are the very reason that I have to be very structured and organized in how I go about my day. Otherwise, I just can't get to all of the things that I love to do. So pretty much every mom that I know is like this. You have to be really organized and on top of it, especially if you're homeschooling, to make sure that you're getting through all of the things that you need to. But over the years, I have learned some tips and tricks that are making my life at least continue rolling, and they're not coming to a screeching halt. All right, my very first, and I think probably one of my most important tips, is to give each of your children their own laundry day. Now, I do the baby's laundry with mine, but all the other 5 kids have their own day that is designated for their laundry. That means that they are responsible for bringing their laundry into the laundry room, starting the load, moving it to the dryer, getting it out, folding it, and putting it all away in their drawers in one day. Now, if they don't do that, then it holds everybody else up that's coming the following day. So I try to really stick to this schedule to make sure that everybody's getting their stuff done. My 9, 12, and 15-year-old are completely on their own. They do their own laundry without me touching it. My 4 and 6-year-old have me go down there with them, or one of the older siblings, and we'll help them get it started. We'll help them fold it and kind of go through that process, but they're very hands-on and involved as well. Now, a couple of things that this does, it eliminates all of the sorting, and it gets rid of all of the piles that I was dealing with. Every day I was doing everybody's laundry, and there would be piles everywhere, and I'd be sending them down to their rooms every single day to put their laundry away. And this is just a much simpler and clean-cut way so that I can just get it all done in one day and send the next kid to do theirs the next time. Okay, so tip number 2 is to list out every single chore that you need done. Now, I don't want you to look at the list and think, well, I'm gonna do that chore, or so-and-so can do this job, or that's a great job for my husband. I want you to literally write down every single chore. And what I did then is divided that out amongst my kids. That sounds a little bit harsh, like I'm giving them all of the workload. But what I do then is I chip in when I am free to help. And the burden isn't necessarily on me the whole time, but the things are getting done if I happen to be busy that day. But if I jump in and I do a load of dishes and load the dishwasher, or I grab somebody's laundry and bring it up and help fold them, they feel like it's a great blessing to them and it's taking some workload off of their plate. But if I get busy that day and I can't get to something, that job is still getting done. Okay, so the next tip, number 3, is that you're gonna take that list of all those chores and you're going to divide them into categories. You're gonna try to keep them more organized by how long it takes to do that group of chores than how hard it is to do them. So you're gonna try to keep those pretty similar because otherwise you don't want one kid to get done much faster than the others, and there's lots of bickering and complaining that comes along with that. So I try to keep those pretty even. This is gonna take a little bit of tweaking. We made our lists and we thought that it was great, but then we had one kid that was getting done far sooner than the rest of them, and we knew that we need to just balance them out a little bit. So hang that up on the refrigerator so that everybody can see it and they all know what's expected of them. So tip number 4 is to rotate your lists. So I have them all broken down into categories and they're hanging on the refrigerator just like this in the picture. And each week on Sunday, we move the kids to the next list, so they just kind of rotate their way through. It keeps them from getting bored of doing the same chores for too long, but it's for a long enough period of time that allows Ben and I to know exactly who is on what job, and we aren't losing track of that by switching things up too often. So it's working a week at a time. They're not getting bored and sick of doing something, but we're able to kind of stay on top of things so that if there's a job that's not done, we can recognize really quickly who was in charge of that and who hasn't done their job for the day. Tip number 5 is to create a daily schedule for them so they know what's exactly expected of them and at what times that they're supposed to be happening. So pretty quick rundown of our schedule. The kids wake up between 8 and 8:30. Some of the kids get up a little bit earlier than that and they start their day sooner, but they need to be up no later than 8:30. They're going to start on their morning outdoor chores right away. The rule is that the animals are fed before they are, so they all bundle up and they put their stuff on and they're heading outside to start feeding the animals and making sure that they're prepared and ready for the day. Then they're gonna come back inside. They're welcome to eat at that point, but by 10 a.m. they have to have all of their chores completed, their teeth brushed, they have to be dressed, and they need to be seated and ready to start school. So for Harrison and Hudson arrive, my nephews, that belong to Joanna and Chuck, and they arrive at around 10 and we start school for the day. And so for the next several hours, we are working through school. It's really difficult for me to take a break and then rein them back in. And so we work nonstop. We don't stop for snacks. We don't stop for lunch. We work until we get done. And so oftentimes our lunch doesn't take place until about 1 o'clock. But then we take a break, we go down and eat. I oftentimes will ask one of my older kids to prepare lunch while I take the baby up and put him down for a nap. After that, the littles who have finished their schoolwork for the day, they get free time. They get to run around outside. They get to maybe watch an educational show. But they are free to go. My older ones come back in and they have more schoolwork to do then to finish out their school day. But late in the afternoon then, we are doing chores all over again, because when you have 9 people in your house all day long, eating and making messes, it requires chores to happen more than once. And so before dinner time, we do another pickup. We try to go through and just kind of tidy things, make sure that they're in their place, and then we start preparing dinner. And from there, it's activities and all kinds of things. It's church, whatever we have planned for that night, and then a quick pickup then again before they go to bed, which normally isn't more than about 10 minutes. But they also then, before bed, have nighttime chores, and so on those lists of rotations, they're going back outside at night to make sure animals are fed again and that they have heat lamps or whatever is needed right now to make sure that they are good for the night. So that's pretty much our routine throughout the day. The kids know the schedule. They know the hard set times, like 10 o'clock, you will be sitting down and ready to start our devotions, because that's when I am able to do it. In the afternoons, if things go as planned, my olders are able to work on things then by themselves and they don't need my help. And so while the other kids have free time, that is when I spend time editing videos, I'm creating content, I am working on leadership roles for our homeschool committee, whatever it is that I need to work on. I normally get a little sliver of time in there where I'm working on the things that I need to. If I don't finish them, I'm often staying up late at night to complete those, and then we start all over again in the morning. So by no means is this perfect, but it's keeping us rolling, and everybody knows their expectations and what they need to do. All right, tip number 6 is to continually remind yourself that this is a time period where you are training your child. Unless you have a special kind of kid that wakes themselves up and they are rearing to go and they've got their chores all done. I do have kids like this that they kind of come and go. But overall, kids are not geared that way. And so this is on you. You're going to be setting timers, constant reminders for them. You're going to probably be frustrated, but just try to remind yourself that they are learning to complete a list of things and hopefully to your standard of what you're expecting of them. And so this is just a really important time to train up our kids so that when they are older, they know how to work well. At one time in my life, I was so frustrated with the constant begging them and reminding them to get their chores done. I would count down the time. I would say, it's 9 o'clock, you have 1 hour until school starts. Why aren't you moving yet? Why hasn't anything been done? And I have over and over and over again struggled with this. There was one time that I got so frustrated that I ripped their list off of the wall, and I promised them that they weren't ever going to do chores again because it was far easier for me to just do the jobs than it was for me to beg them to do them all day. I lasted 2 days and then I realized, holy cow, I need them to participate and help in doing this because there is no physical way that I can get through it all and get it all done. I worked nonstop for those 2 days, running around like a crazy person, and I still didn't get through the list. And so I need their help. When you have a household of 8 people with 2 extra nephews in the house all day, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of cleaning up that needs to happen. And so I put that baby right back up on the refrigerator and I called them all back in and I said, I cannot do this without you. You all have a role to play and we're all gonna have to do this together. And so from then on out, it's been a little bit better. I still am begging and reminding from time to time, but overall the expectations are hanging on the refrigerator and well known so that we are able to hold our kids accountable. So by no means is this perfect or has it solved all of my woes. I still have lots of work that I'm behind on and areas of the house that need lots of love and attention, but this list of tips is keeping us in check, and hopefully it will help you to kind of implement some new ideas into your own homes. So thanks for watching. We will see you next week on This Ohio Farmhouse. Bring me the bucket.